You're listening to DraftKings Network.
You know that sound. It's the sound of money hitting your Venmo account, a friend paying you back, or maybe it's getting cash back from your favorite business when you pay with the Venmo debit card, or it's realizing you can pay with Venmo at checkout at thousands of brands. Now, there are so many more ways to answer the question, what's your Venmo? Download Venmo today. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. Dosh Cashback terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Unstoppable. Discover the inspiring true story about Anthony Robles, who defied every expectation to become a national wrestling champion in Unstoppable, a new original movie from Amazon MGM Studios and director William Goldenberg, evoking the excitement and camaraderie of classic sports dramas and thrilling wrestling matches. Unstoppable features an all-star ensemble cast, including Jarrell Jerome, Jennifer Lopez, Don Cheadle, Michael Pena, and Bobby Cannavale. Unstoppable is streaming exclusively on Prime Video January 16th.
What a delightful Monday surprise. Greg Cote of the Miami Herald is in. And Chris Cote, I'm going to make an accusation now that you'll be able to tell me whether it's accurate or not. I'm pretty sure it's accurate. He's wearing a Christmas shirt.
Yeah.
Brand new?
Does look fresh.
I haven't seen your father wear a shirt that's not more than a quarter of a century old. I'm telling you everything. I'm not even kidding you. I'm telling you that every shirt he brings in here has the wrinkles of decades.
Okay. I don't deny that. It does literally. Some of my shirts do have the wrinkles of decades. Pardon my voice. I'm still getting over whatever the hell I'm getting over.
You sound somehow worse than you did last week.
I know, but I feel better. But this shirt, it's true that it's a Christmas shirt, and I'm going to admit something to you and your audience that I probably should not, because I think I'm in the minority here. The outfit I'm wearing right now, the jeans and this shirt, I love so much that I wore the exact same outfit to dinner Friday night and again Saturday night. And I told my wife Saturday as I'm getting changed, I'm like, no one will know but you.
Wait a minute. So you've worn this 3 out of the last 4 days?
Uh-huh. Exactly.
you just
I
keep
sure have.
You just keep. It's a good-looking shirt.
It is a good-looking shirt.
It looks crisp and clean. Billy is rushing in, and Stugotz is rushing in from the award-winning God
Fools
Bless
Rush
Football.
I'm just kidding. Huh? Isn't that the name of a movie? Fools Rush In?
It is.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
Salma Hayek.
Yep.
There you go.
Matthew Perry.
Decent movie, yeah.
Yeah, don't take that literally, Billy and Stugotz.
That's a bit offensive.
It's just a joke.
It's all right, Greg.
It was offensive.
I do nothing but defend you, and this is
I know.
how I
I'm
get
sorry, Billy.
It's the way you greet us on a Monday morning, huh?
Yeah.
No
Fools
bedside
Rush In.
manner.
Funny. Good movie? I never heard of it. Sounds like an old-timey movie.
That's a classic mid-'90s rom-com.
Is it? All right. Rom-coms are coming back, I read.
Are they?
I didn't know they left.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Are rom-coms coming back? The question I was going to ask Billy is, have you ever seen Greg Cote wearing a shirt that's not a quarter century old?
Is that a new one?
Yeah. Can't you tell?
When'd you get it?
Isn't it obvious?
Well, there was a holiday recently.
Really?
Yeah, and I got a bunch of gifts that I had to unwrap. Although I didn't unwrap most of them because nowadays everybody puts your gift in a bag. But
Mom especially, she has punted
awful.
on wrapping gifts. Our
She
entire
really
tree
has.
is just filled with bags.
It's so depressing to come out and see a bunch of bags under a tree.
Oh, depressing.
Well,
is
more
a bit
depressing to not have any gifts under the tree, I would suppose.
Well,
like I don't.
that's true.
And I imagine she's also a better gift buyer than you are. Do I have that wrong?
No, I'm a very, very thoughtful gift buyer.
Are you?
Yeah, we for the last year, she's been stirring her coffee in the morning with a knife, which really drives me crazy. And I'm like, use a spoon. And she's like, we don't have enough spoons. So one of my Christmas gifts for her was a dozen beautiful silver spoons.
That's thoughtful.
But that was like a gift for yourself.
Yeah.
You got a gift for yourself.
it's
That
a-
drove me crazy.
It's a thoughtful gift. She loves red licorice. I sent it away for top of the line Australian licorice.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Is
good
it? Is
stuff.
that known like the best licorice is from
good.
Australia?
It's good. It is.
I did
Yeah.
not know that.
Not
But
Austria?
I don't think you can argue that it's a thoughtful gift if, at the end of the day, you're the person
I
benefiting
got
the
my
most.
brother and I got my father an Atari for Father's Day one time
Atari.
Just so you could play with it?
when I was a kid. Yeah.
Nice.
You were 34 years old.
Dad,
Hey.
Dad, didn't you also set out this holiday season to get Mom the most expensive bottle of Pinot Noir you could find?
I did.
How'd that go?
It went well. I mean,
Or did you end up, when you got all the prices, you're like, I'll take the third most?
well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I basically went to an unnamed, liquor store, brand name, big time national liquor store, with 2 words in the title, and I asked them, "What's your best Pinot Noir?" And they gave me several choices, and I, paid a little pretty penny for it.
Jessica, how do you feel when Greg Cote mentions that he's been wearing the same outfit since Friday?
I've been wearing the same outfit since Friday, too. So
Thank you.
This is the Dan Levator Show with the Stugotz podcast.
If you had to choose a story from the football weekend to start with, do you start with a winner or with a loser? If you can only pick one thing as the most important thing that you're most interested in talking about, because I was underwhelmed by most of the games, all the home teams winning, until I saw a rookie winning a road playoff game. And not just winning a road playoff game, Stugotz, but winning a road playoff game with no turnovers and no punts. These stats I'm about to read are crazy because road playoff games are obviously hard to win. Only one team did it yesterday, probably broke Mike Ryan's heart. But this is from OptaStats. In NFL history, there have been 3 instances of a team having 0 turnovers and 0 punts in a game behind a rookie starting quarterback, either regular or postseason. All 3 games are Jayden Daniels. Week 2, Week 3, and a road playoff game. And then this one is more stunning. From Doug Clawson. Jayden Daniels has more games in his career where his team has 0 punts and 0 turnovers, 3, including the playoffs, than the combined careers of Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, and Patrick Mahomes. Combined. That was stunning to watch yesterday, even if you've been watching Jayden Daniels all year, seeing him go in as an underdog on the road and beating Baker Mayfield in Tampa.
I don't mean to make that less impressive by what I'm about to say, because it is impressive, unequivocally. But the fact that their coach goes for it on 4th and 1 and 4th and 2 almost all the time, even in his own territory, does mitigate how many times they have to punt.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you with that quarterback, though?
Yeah, I might.
Right, yes.
I might. And that's
Yes.
the trend. But this guy, man, including in yesterday's game, time and time and time again, he's going for it. He misses it a couple of times in a row. He goes for it again, and they scored a touchdown pass out of one of those gambles.
To answer Dan's question about winner or loser and what was the biggest story from the weekend, it's always more fun to kind of highlight the losers. And the big loser this weekend was Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert.
Oh.
I mean, you're Mr. Tough Guy. We're going to stop the run. We're going to run the football. And I've got this quarterback that if you were building a quarterback in a lab, this is the guy you would want to be your starting quarterback. And he gives you 3 interceptions in that spot. A terrible job by the Chargers.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I think Justin Herbert had 4 interceptions all regular season.
Yeah.
And he had 3 in one game in the playoffs. Terrible.
Did he have 3 interceptions all season? Was it 3 all season? That's his first 3 interception game ever. I should say, by the way, 2 of those weren't his fault. They went right through the run. I mean, they were just little passes out to the flat.
He throws the ball hard, though.
Yes, he
Sometimes
does.
too hard.
The stats here, this one's
Little
great.
touch, I mean.
This one's great, though. This stat here. Are you familiar with the 3 leading receivers for the Chargers on Saturday? Because
Well, one of them's definitely got to be Ladd.
yes, Ladd had 9 catches. So Ladd's the leading receiver, 9 catches for 197 yards. That 3rd and 26 play was crazy after Herbert took 2 straight sacks. the only touchdown the Chargers scored in the game.
Can we trust Houston's defense again?
No.
Where did that come from?
No, that was weird. I don't have a good explanation for you. It was weird to see the Chargers that constipated.
I'd be careful if I'm Kansas City.
But, lad,
what?
Stugotz minor penalty, 2 minutes.
I was
for
talking
Chiefs
Texans. Texans versus the Texans. Couple of Texans cutting it up. How about that?
Kansas City Chiefs were originally the Dallas Texans, if you happen to be listening last Wednesday when he made that joke.
Yeah, it's a good joke.
So Ladd McConkey goes 9 for 197, and then the third leading receiver that Justin Herbert threw passes to was Will Disley, 2 for 16. And then he threw 4 passes for 108 yards to the Texans. 108 yards. One of them a pick 6. He's not wrong when he says that was the disaster of the weekend. Do you go winner or loser? Because a lot of people are talking about the Steelers as well. They're talking about the fact that Mike Tomlin is in this area that Jimmy Johnson used to talk about. The enemy of great is good, where you're just sort of stuck with overachieving seasons, and then you get to the playoffs. And rare is that, right? A lot of people are accusing the Steelers of quitting. That is not what happened at the game. The Ravens just leaned on them all game, gutted them, and wore them out. Cam Hayward is not a quitter, but on the first 95-yard drive, because you have to start tackling Derrick Henry, Cam Hayward is already gutted on his own goal line one series into the game because of how Baltimore plays football. It's really hard to defend them.
I'd go outside of the pro ranks. Friday's Cotton Bowl between Ohio State and Texas, with Texas driving at the very end, and to have Quinn Ewers' former college roommate come up with a strip sack in an iconic moment for a very prestigious program in Ohio State. I thought that was the coolest moment of the weekend.
Billy, what did you talk about on God Bless Football as the first item of business?
Ooh, the first item of business. Man, you're really putting me through the ringer here. What was the first thing we talked about? Not the first thing. The actual first thing we talked about? Like on the day? Or like how do we start the show? Am I getting kicked out? I see you fumbling over there. Uh-oh. So I'll just go.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, rambling.
Good shift for the GDF crew.
How many turnovers do the Bills have this year? Because one of the most stunning things of my football lifetime is seeing the reckless coached out of Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. How many turnovers do they have this year? Do they have double-digit turnovers? All of them. I'm not even just talking about interceptions. I'm talking about I don't think that team has double-digit turnovers.
I don't understand. Forced turnovers or like on offense?
No, on
like
offense.
Including fumbles lost?
I'm talking about coaching the reckless out of Josh Allen and seeing Josh Allen and the Bills steamroll, the defensive player of the year probably in Patrick Surtain, who allows them to have the best pass rush in the sport, and they just did whatever they wanted in the second half of the football game.
You know what was crazy from that game? Nix to Franklin was the first ever rookie-to-rookie touchdown connection in NFL playoff history. That's wild, but then I guess it makes sense because it's hard for rookie quarterbacks to make it to the NFL postseason historically and put up good performances in their first crack at it, but that's wild. The NFL's been around for a while.
The Bills tied the NFL record for fewest total turnovers in a regular season with 8 this year.
And he doesn't get sacked anymore either. And typically guys that depend on their physical ability, that know that they can escape, will hold on to the ball longer, and he does, but it's hard to get home on Josh Allen. I marvel at him. He's getting better and better. And now, seemingly overnight, he's got Jesus hair. And it's just, how do you go up against that? The Ravens-Bills game, that'll be Sunday evening, 6:30. Put the kids to bed. Oh my God. That game is going to be freaking incredible.
Winner takes on the Texans. What? No! They do!
Stugotz minor penalty, 2 minutes for Chiefs talk.
No. He likes Houston in that one.
I have to say, we should all be rooting against Houston just in general, because we can't let them not have the Saturday afternoon playoff window going forward. That was the perfect way to ease myself into the weekend. I was like, oh, thank God, Houston's on. Like, this is a great little, get a little appetizer. I watched the Nickelodeon broadcast. By the way, when the Dirty Bubble got Jim Harbaugh, it was over for the Chargers after that.
Over.
I mean, that was it. Great broadcast. But we can't let them be so good that they're now getting primetime billing. Like, we just can't let that happen.
That Bills-Ravens game is the Chiefs benefiting from what the Patriots benefited from to get 7 Super Bowl wins, where you get the first-round bye, and then you only have to play one good team to get to the Super Bowl. You don't have to play 2 of them. We would like the Chiefs' chances a lot better of getting to the Super Bowl if they had to play both Baltimore and Buffalo in order to get there. But like all of us are sitting there saying of both the Ravens and the Bills, both of those teams can be Super Bowl champions. Like they can beat anyone in the sport in a way that's obvious. They could go into Kansas City. Tell me Baltimore's style isn't suited for a bad weather game wherever it is that you want to play. If you're just, man, I haven't seen Cam Hayward look like he's quitting. The Steelers are getting accused of quitting because the Ravens just leaned on them all game.
Is TJ Watt just supremely banged up? Because like he's gone like a shocking amount of snaps without registering a stat.
Yeah. I'd say the last 5 games of the Steelers season, including the postseason, were about as bad of a stretch on both sides that I've seen from the Steelers in a really long time. So like, even though the record is the same and like the first round playoff exit is the same as a lot of years, like this has been a pretty bad collapse. And I will say the schedule did them no favors. They had to play 3 really, really tough games in a short window. But regardless, I don't think that's like your excuse. I think like Mike said, like you've got really bad injury luck in a couple key positions, and then some of your best players just not producing down the stretch, and already a really tough offense to produce with a wide receiver that's hurt and also in it sometimes and not in it sometimes. Like just a bad stretch of football.
Aaron Rodgers?
No. I think first of all, I think the Tomlin conversation that like everyone's gonna have today, like I don't think he's going anywhere. So I think it's just like a waste of time to have that conversation again. But like they're probably going to re-sign Russ and just not give him a ton of money is my guess.
Aaron, I feel like that's a slight upgrade over what we have with Russ. It was weird because it was kind of unfortunate. I understand the game plan going in there, and I understand the distrust that Russ kind of built up over these last few weeks. But once he started stretching the field and taking shots down, you kind of started talking yourself back into it. And it was almost like you guys went into this game a little too conservative. But that's kind of how Pittsburgh's been able to.
That's how they want to do it, though.
Yeah, that's how they get these upsets. I get it. But they did look good when they started stretching the field, and Russ did look accurate going down the field. It was just. I think that they waited too long to trust him.
I know I'm a cheerleader for the Ravens, but I'm really looking forward to the Baltimore-Detroit Super Bowl, which seems preordained. And Baltimore would be my betting pick to be the most likely to get there. The Ravens, you could make a strong argument, have the 2 most valuable players in the entire league. And a Ravens defense that was awful the first half of the season has been great lately. I mean, the Ravens, unlike the opposite of the Steelers, the Ravens are really coming on at just the right time.
To his point, since they moved Kyle Hamilton to safety week 11, the Ravens are all number 1 across the board in all the defensive stats. But what Jessica's saying about that collapse of the Steelers, 4 of their last 5 games, they lost by 14 or more points. 4 of their last 5. They lost 5 in a row by a total of 66 points. They collapsed upon the end of the season. But when Mike mentions TJ Watt, I don't know what he was doing in the game before last, but I thought that the game plan on TJ Watt was just to have him unblocked and let Lamar decide every time, as he decided to tackle Derrick Henry without the ball, to just run around to where he was. And that's how they neutralized him, by just having Lamar Jackson stare at him all game and say, you're the only person on this field who can beat me, because you're the only person on this field who can take this football from me. And if I just do run pass option the entire time, from the very beginning of the game, they had no answers for that, and then Derrick Henry's coming close to 200 yards. Because you can make the argument, based on just statistics, that that's the best rushing offense we've ever seen, where the running backs are disposable. They've got 2 of them that aren't disposable.
This is the most loaded Lamar Jackson team I think I've ever seen. I'm sure that they've had better records, but they're peaking right now. Todd Monken should really be discussed as one of the brilliant minds, because I was convinced they've maximized Lamar Jackson with this Greg Roman style, and Todd Monken Tonkin comes in, and he shows you exactly how talented of a thrower of the football Lamar Jackson can be. They have first-round picks everywhere. Their defense is game. They're going to, I know Pittsburgh scored 14 points, so you can't hold the 13-point benchmark against Lamar anymore. He finally beat a team that scored more than 13. But they scored 14, pretty similar. I think we all have supreme confidence that Buffalo can put up more than 14 points, so we're going to get a lot of questions answered with that game. There's high drama surrounding that Baltimore-Buffalo game because there's so much on the line from a narrative standpoint, and that's as good as sports can get.
Let's play the sound of George Pickens after the game, basically criticizing the Steeler offense that has, I did not have that one today, Mike Ryan calling for Aaron Rodgers as the next Steeler quarterback. Let's hear from George Pickens here.
George, you've been with this offense now for 3 years. Have you seen signs of growth, and how much more does this team still need to grow offensively?
Yeah, I've seen signs of growth for sure. From past, the first year I've been here, just way more growth for sure.
George, does that make you optimistic going forward?
Nah.
Not many people like him.
Oh, my God.
He's unusual, man. Can we play the sound, please, of the Commanders winning the game and the radio call? They went on a doinked field goal, 37-yard field goal from Zane Gonzalez. A lot of people have noticed that he was twitchy right before that. He was doing a lot of playing with his hair, as he often does. It seems, does he have clinically diagnosed OCD? Because I don't think this is just nerves. He's done this before where he looks nervous if he's not nervous because of the amount that he's playing with his hair. They win the game at the end, and I'd like to hear the radio call of that, please. I'm not sure who these announcers are. Help me out here with the announcers.
They're awesome. I don't know their names, but they're terrific. It's the way you want your local announcers to call a game like this and a play like that.
Zane Gonzalez looking to send Washington into the divisional round. Snap good, hold down, kick on its way. It is good! The Cardiac Commanders are the Clutch Commanders. They do it again. We'll see you in Detroit. And Zane Gonzalez kicks in the door and kicks us into the second round of the playoffs.
That is the Commanders Radio Network. Bram Weinstein, London Fletcher, and Logan Paulson on the call.
What you don't see is London Fletcher. Why Bram? Because he doesn't want to step on his call. London Fletcher is fist pumping. He is having a celebration in that booth. It was glorious.
Can I tell you something that happened to me yesterday that made me realize how my viewing habits have changed? Yesterday is the first day in my life that I am watching football games, and while watching football games, Stugotz, because I've always been somebody here recently that's been watching them on red zones the red zone doesn't have commercials, I am legitimately discovering shows for the first time that promote during the NFL games, which is why it is that all of these networks are fighting over the NFL schedule so they can introduce you, of course, on CBS to Hollywood Squares, making
we're doing that again.
Yes, we are making.
Nate Burleson has CBS in the sharpshooter right now.
Yes, Nate Burleson.
He can have anything made.
Nate Burleson can go into any office at CBS and be like, "I'm young, I'm black, and you don't have anything like this on your menu.
I'm good. Just give me everything."
So he's hosting Hollywood Squares, but here, Stugotz, is something I had not noticed before. Special Forces, the world's toughest test. Here is, and can I interest you in some Cam Newton jumping from a boat onto a helicopter? All of this seems a little bit dangerous. When I saw it with the sound down, of course, I said to myself, is that Cam Newton? That can't be Cam Newton. Why would Cam Newton be doing that? All of this seems a little bit scary, but he does grab onto a helicopter, and that is a lot of weight he is carrying onto the helicopter. All of that looks scary. That seems like a show, Billy. This seems like down your alley. Special Forces, World's Toughest Test.
I did see that, and it is on my list of things that I need to watch. Plus, I have a soft spot for Kim. We all know that. Come on.
Right. If you walk into the CBS offices with that idea, though, that's not going to fly on CBS. I mean,
Well, this is like the third season of this show. There are certain shows that are Fox shows. Like, we all know there's Fox shows.
Was that Billy Baldwin?
Wasn't Billy.
There's a Baldwin.
A different Baldwin.
Baldwin.
That might have been Steven.
It's Haley's dad.
It's one of them.
Steven.
Wait, Billy, this is like The Challenge, but like even more military focused, right?
And with celebrity adjacent people.
So is The Challenge.
Yeah, I guess. This is exciting. This is the third
You don't think
season of
Bananas
this.
is a celebrity?
It would be weird, though, like, it'd be, like, look, I don't want to put this out there, but, like, what if you were to hear, like, yeah, Cam Newton was decapitated by a military helicopter, and, like, what? Like, yeah, he was filming a show, and he's just so tall that he stood up on the side of it, and it took off his head.
Wow.
It'd be a terrible way to go, right?
There is precedent for this in show
Mike
business.
Ryan's been wanting to
Also
talk
a
about
waiver.
this. Mike Ryan has been wanting to talk about this.
Decapitated celebrities?
For 6 months.
With helicopters?
Helicopter accidents on the set of the movie The Twilight Zone in 1983.
Yeah, you covered it.
It's not a joking matter.
No, it was an impaling.
No.
Like
It was children, wasn't it?
2 children and one movie star, Vic Morrow.
Really?
Yeah, this actually happened. This was a thing that happened, and if you look into it, all sorts of set rules were broken, and all sorts of set rules have now been put in
Did you
place
listen to
because
the
of
Behind
this.
the Bastards episode on it too? It's a good one.
Stugotz.
So that's it? I mean,
Was it John Landis?
Yeah.
Wow. Rod Serling turning over in his grave.
Kind of altered the trajectory of that career. And it was like 3 different directors that got together.
Right.
And when it came time to promote it, none of the other directors wanted anything to do with the project because, the death.
Put it on the poll. Did you love The Twilight Zone at Le Batard Show? Because I did.
I'm still afraid of ceiling fans.
From fireside conversations to football Sundays, winter means more moments with the coolest people in your life. Make these moments even better with Miller Lite. I know I do. The grape-tasting light beer for people who love beer. A new year is a perfect time for friends, family, and great-tasting light beer. Tastes like Miller time. Recently, I had family over, and while everyone's palate is different, I knew they all like beer, and they all look like people who want to drink beer that actually tastes like beer. So I brought out a nice little silver platter of Miller Lite. That beautiful white can was an instant winner. Trust me, learn from my experience, set that bad boy out, and you will be making people happy left and right. Because Miller Lite is brewed for taste. It hits different than other light beers. The original light beer since 1975. And still the very best one. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Okay, guys, it says here I'm supposed to tell you about the refreshing tropical lime flavor of Mountain Dew Baja Blast. But what does refreshing tropical lime mean exactly? Allow me to describe it in a way that my fellow DraftKings players will understand. Mountain Dew Baja Blast tastes like a buzzer-beating three-pointer to cover the spread, nailing a multi-leg parlay, setting the perfect daily fantasy lineup. It's like hitting an underdog money line. And I want you to know that feeling too. So make your picks and then grab some tropical lime flavored Mountain Dew Baja Blast for you and your buds. Available wherever refreshing beverages are sold.
Hey, Happy New Year, friends. It's 2025, and a new year can mean new opportunities. For a lot of you out there, I imagine you spent the last couple of weeks sitting and thinking how to make your 2025 special, different, and set yourself in the right direction. One way that you can do so is actually by following my boss, Dan Le Batard's path, and starting your own business. You might have a lot of questions. How do I get started? How do I come up with a brand? How do I sell stuff to people? What am I even going to sell? Just take a deep breath. Shopify has got you. Shopify makes it simple to create your brand, open for business, and get your first sale. Get your store up running easily with thousands of customizable templates. No coding or design skills required. All you need to do is drag and drop. But I know you're thinking, what happens if I don't act now? Will I regret it? What if someone beats me to the idea? Don't kick yourself when you hear this again in a year because you didn't do anything now. With Shopify, your first sale is closer than you think. Established in 2025. Has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Batard. All lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Batard to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/Batard.
Dan Le Batard.
Sports!
Stugotz.
More sports!
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Stugotz had a great take last week, off air. It wasn't something he might have said it on God Bless Football, but he didn't say it here. He just said, you know who doesn't have any stress or pressure headed into the playoffs? Mm-hmm. Todd Bowles.
Yeah, I said it here.
You said he gave one interview.
Yeah, he lost another playoff game, and nobody cares.
Let's play the interview at halftime, though, that suggests that he might sometimes get lost in the weeds on certain things. Todd Bowles is not a great interview. Todd Bowles, in all our lives listening to Todd Bowles usually doesn't say very interesting things, but here's Todd Bowles at halftime not giving you a lot of confidence where he gets stuck in the quicksand.
How do you limit Jayden Daniels?
Got to get him in long third and longer yardage. You got to win first down. He keeps getting out of the pocket to his left, to our left, his left. I mean, our left, his right, and we got to cut that down.
That matters.
It's confusing, though.
That's when I started getting worried for Old Bake.
We've all been there.
That's hilarious.
Go ahead and play it again. And this might suggest that the coach of the Tampa Bay Bucks was slightly confused about which direction Jayden Daniels was going all night.
How do you limit Jayden Daniels?
Got to get him in long third and longer yardage. You got to win first down. He keeps getting out of the pocket to his left, to our left, his left. I mean, our left, his right, and we got to cut that down.
Thanks, Todd.
Yep.
He always looks confused, though. I mean, if you watch Todd Bowles on the sideline, he looks confused the entire game. No coach looks more confused than Todd Bowles.
That's not true. Eberflus.
Oh, that's a good one. But he's a former coach now.
I'm still confused by stage left and stage right. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Our left, his left. I mean, our left, his right, and we got to cut that down.
If you think about it, the left tackle is also the right tackle.
Yeah. I wanted to ask the group, based on Mike Ryan saying that the best game of the weekend was Friday night, a couple of different questions about college football. I don't know if Ryan Day has changed your appraisal since December 21st, but he's beaten two of the top three teams in the SEC and also the number one team in the country in the last 3 weeks.
Blew him out.
But two of the top three SEC teams and the number one team in the country. I don't know if your opinion has changed on that. You have heard me recently lament. I really don't like any of the measurement systems in sports playoffs outside of basketball for being an accurate measurement, but I do believe that most of us would agree that the two teams at the end here are probably the two best teams, and I'm just super bummed out that Notre Dame is clearly suffering the ill effects of they shouldn't be playing 15 games a season. They've got almost double-digit people hurt trying to play this game against Ohio State, and so it makes for an imperfect measurement where they're a 10-point or 9.5-point dog playing against an Ohio State team that is healthier than they are.
Yeah, I've been giving that a lot of thought, and you can get really stuck in the mud by also justifying that, well, they don't play a conference championship game, so that's one less game. But if they did play the conference championship game, they would have won the conference
Ohio
championship.
State didn't either this year.
Yeah, and they would have gotten maybe a bye week there. But to the original point, I've never had more confidence, really, I think, in my adult life that the two best, say for one of those Alabama-Georgia championship games, these are the two best teams in the nation. And one of the teams probably wouldn't have been in a 14 playoff. Notre Dame probably would have. But we have all sorts of questions about Notre Dame. Can they do it? They've done so much for their brand. Marcus Freeman has done so much for himself, particularly with the path that they've taken to get here. We've had two great semis back-to-back, which is kind of an outlier historically with the CFP. The semis are usually very underwhelming. So I think also when you look back, once Clemson won that game, committee got it right. Everybody was championing those SEC teams, and the SEC teams did not acquit themselves nicely. The teams specifically that they were talking about being left out did not win their games outside of Ole Miss. I think that this is a great year one for the CFP. There are obvious changes that they're going to make when it comes to the teams that get the bye, but all in all, great experience so far, and I think this is tremendous.
How about Marcus Freeman and the Bears? Huh? I mean, is that a face of a franchise or what? I mean, oh my God. Oh, you don't like this?
No,
Wait,
of course not.
He goes from one team to another one of your teams. I mean,
full disclosure, the Bears are not one of my teams. It's like a bit I've been doing for like 7 years, and I hate the Bears. But he just signed a huge extension at Notre Dame. I think he'd be stupid not to take an interview, but I would be surprised if he left. I think he does like college. But back to Mike's point about like what the Final Four would have been without the 12-team playoff this year. I've seen a lot of takes that like these two teams wouldn't have even made the playoff, so it's like devaluing the playoff system, like devalues conference championship games, blah, 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 blah. I think it's fairly, shouldn't be controversial to say that the top four of this final playoff ranking would not have been the top four if there was a 14 playoff. The playoff committee changed the way they address conference championship games this year because of the bye weeks and 12-team playoff. So while the final ranking, I think it was Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Penn State, they were the top four. They were also the four teams that played in the SEC and Big Ten championship games. I don't think that would have been the Final Four if we didn't have 12 teams. And like, it's up for debate who the four would have been. Obviously, Oregon would have been in there and Georgia would have been in there. But I could have seen Texas, Notre Dame be the other two. I could have seen maybe you make a case for Penn State. I just don't think they would have picked the four teams that we just saw play on conference championship weekend in the playoff. And so I've seen that take a lot, and I just don't necessarily agree with it.
I'm just really excited that we have a championship game in which both these coaches and these programs have proven a lot just to get here because their path has been pretty crazy. Ohio State erases a loss that they had to Oregon and totally throttled them. So entering a game, I don't think I've ever really had that much respect for two teams playing for the top prize.
I think the college football playoff totally got lucky to end up with what is a really, really attractive championship game. Notre Dame was seeded 7th. Ohio State was seeded 8th. They were so low, they had to prove that they deserved this. If you go by the top four seedings playing out, we would have had an inordinately less attractive championship
but the
game.
seeding is wacky, right? It's one of the things they're going to have to change.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's funny that you count it as a strike against. I actually see like this result like saying like, well, no, feather in our cap. That's why we expanded it.
But like going into the playoffs, no one thought Ohio State was the 8th best team in the country. Everyone knew they were better than that.
But you have to seed according to the regular season. In Ohio State, they had a huge stinker in their last week. I don't think you can account for that when you're seeding a tournament that the best team in the country with the best roster in the country can't beat their rival in the last week of the regular season. Like that's
a bad loss.
That's a bad loss. But I also think Ohio State, Notre Dame, they had the two toughest draws in the playoff. Notre Dame had to play against the SEC champion. They won. Then they had to play against the Big Ten runner-up. They won. Now they get to play in the championship game. They also had to play Indiana, obviously, which was a blowout.
I mean,
Ohio State had to avenge their loss against Oregon. They had to beat a top 3 SEC team, and then they had to beat Texas, which was the SEC runner-up.
For all the crap that Kirk Herbstreit gave Indiana after they lost, look at Indiana's season. They have 2 losses. The team's playing the final game of the season.
But they were totally outclassed.
Jessica mentioned before the show today, Stugotz, this shouldn't surprise us too much, that she rewatched the watch. She rewatched the Notre Dame game just because it was one of the highlights of her life. The reason that I did not just kick her out of the room, though, because I believe that she's got to stop breaking this rule around here that we've had for a long time of telling people when something's a bit. Like she's the only one who does it. We pride ourselves on. There are things here. There are a number of things. I could shock you right now by giving you any number of things that people think are a bit that wasn't a bit, and think that people who think things were a bit.
We should do this one day.
Yeah, but this bit started before before I started working here. This is a bit that started the double doink season when the Bears were actually good. So this predates me being on the show. I feel like I should be this is a me bit, not a show bit.
Grandfathered bit.
I just don't think we should be telling. I think we should keep things
mysterious. I'm just sick of like people texting me Bear stuff. Honestly, like this is for my personal peace.
I mean,
I did, and I'm a Steelers fan. It was a tough weekend for me. I'm not a Bears fan. The Bears stink.
I think Tomlin's going to the Bears. I mean, how about that?
I mean, honestly, that might not be the word.
Is Steelers fan a bit, or that's real?
No, that's real.
Okay.
I have one NFL team, guys.
And Notre Dame?
Notre Dame's real. I graduated
though.
from Notre Dame. I went to Clemson for 1 year.
That's a bit.
But
or
I don't
not?
really root for Clemson that much anymore.
Just whatever it takes to have Al Golden be the head coach of Notre Dame Week 1 next season.
Can you guys get for me, please, the Wolf Blitzer entertainment system? Greg Cote was being mocked by his son before the game or before the show today because he was saying that Wolf Blitzer has exactly the entertainment system that Greg Cote would have if Greg Cote didn't have a wife who takes care of these things and cares about technology and electronics. That is stunning to see that famed media star Wolf Blitzer doesn't have a better setup than that one.
Yeah. Is that a VCR or a VHS? What is it?
Is that a VCR? Is there a DVD there as well?
Is that a TiVo?
Well, I've got a TiVo.
Looks like a TiVo up top.
Do you use your TiVo?
I do, yeah.
What does it do these days?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what I love about TiVo that I don't love about YouTube. My ability to pause and slow down things in football, like YouTube.
Yeah,
and
YouTube's terrible.
My Apple controller makes that stuff much less fun than it used to be.
Dan, to your credit, like I found that people that have TiVo are like extremely loyal to TiVo. Like they're TiVo lifers. And I'm with you. On YouTube TV, I try to pause and rewind and go back and rewatch plays. It's terrible. It just never works.
I will tell you that it is great fun to have the TiVo on the occasions where I can watch in slow motion Dallas Goedert stiff-arming Valentine 3 different times.
How humiliating was that?
Well, not as humiliating as Minkah Fitzpatrick getting one of those from Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry did with one what it took Dallas Goedert 3 to do, but Dallas Goedert did.
I'd rather get 1 than 3.
But Dallas Goedert, what he did to Valentine is basically what a father does to his 8-year-old son as a stiff arm. And I love slowing down football and seeing all of the minutia that I don't see when I'm watching it at real speed.
Mike is right, though, about getting 1 as opposed to 3. Just get it over with. All of it. Just put me out of my misery.
It's just one moment. It's Derrick Henry. He does that to a lot of folks. Fine. I'm not going for a 25-yard just joyride as Dallas Goedert just smacks my head.
3 times. Just 3 times hit him in the forehead.
Humiliating.
There were a couple of things like that that I saw this weekend. Stugotz, the Texans D-line mauled the Chargers offensive line. Like I saw the center thrown into Herbert.
I'm done trying to handicap this sport, man. If the Texans if their defense is just going to decide they're going to show up and look like that in that game, no, I'm done. I'm out.
It's hard to handicap, but we can't be surprised that a home team who won their division won a playoff game. I mean, home team's winning a game. I'm never surprised.
But wait, Stugotz. I don't believe. Like, first of all, the Chargers were a road favorite. First of all.
I know.
Second of all, there was not a team being doubted more outside of maybe the Steelers because of their last 5 games as being playoff worthy to go on a run, and goes right back to, oh man, that's too easy for the Chiefs. Goes right back to, right now, everyone is saying that's going to be something that is too simple for the Chiefs because nobody believes in the Texans.
Right. Everybody, not everybody, obviously, but I and many, many, many others picked the Chargers to win that game. And the reason Justin Herbert looked so awful, that the Texans had the best cornerback play in a game that I have seen all season.
Stingley is so good.
Yep. Stingley is so good, and parenthetically, this isn't talked about enough. He's the grandson of the guy, Darryl Stingley, who was paralyzed on the football field. And this guy, 2 generations later, has turned into a legit DPOY candidate.
Were the rest of you as stunned as I am and was by the fact that not 1 but 2 deflections ended up perfectly intercepted by Texans cornerbacks, where I'm just so used to defensive backs always dropping those interceptions?
I kept thinking my TV kept rewinding back to specific turnovers. I was like, oh, this is a kooky broadcast.
Can we talk about the Dicker play?
So stupid.
Why does that guy just totally implode in this round of the playoffs? You're on special teams. How do you forget?
Hold on. What was the best part of the Dicker play? Because
he thought it was a Hail Mary.
My favorite part of the Dicker play. So Dicker the kicker gets the field goal blocked, and as it comes down from the sky, he tries to knock it down. It's still in play. All he's done is create a fumble that gets run the other way. But not knowing the rules,
trying to make a play, man.
Yes. Well, he wasn't trying to make a play.
He heard Boomer and Teej in his head screaming, "Knock it down!"
Stugotz, he wasn't trying to make a play. He was trying to prevent Houston from making a play, and instead made a play for Houston. But not knowing the rules is one thing. He got annihilated as soon as he did it. Like he should have ended up in the concussion protocol after that, just before he got hit, because of the decision that he made. Like, as soon as he makes the decision to knock the ball down, they should have just put him in the concussion protocol.
He was trying not to get hit, and it did not work out that way for him at all.
Such a funny play.
What do we do with Jordan Love? Do we put him in the Justin Herbert class, or do we? There's more injuries on that Green Bay team.
I was going to say, they lost their best playmaker the last week of the season, so not a great.
Yeah, they lost Watson to the ACL. Reed goes out. Dobbs has the rare concussion with the goofy helmet on top of the helmet.
But even so,
Mike, they were down their top 3 receivers, their center, and their 2 left guards.
But he was also really bad too.
I mean, Mahomes would win that game.
From fireside conversations to football Sundays, winter means more moments with the coolest people in your life. Make these moments even better with Miller Lite. I know I do. The great tasting light beer for people who love beer. A new year is a perfect time for friends, family, and great tasting light beer. Tastes like Miller time. Recently I had family over, and while everyone's palate is different, I knew they all like beer, and they all look like people who want to drink beer that actually tastes like beer. So I brought out a nice little silver platter of Miller Lite. That beautiful white can was an instant winner. Trust me, learn from my experience, set that bad boy out, and you will be making people happy left and right. Because Miller Lite is brewed for taste. It hits different than other light beers. The original light beer since 1975. And still the very best one. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.